Here we have a ton of laptops. 4 to be precise. Now you'll have to excuse me, I am trying a new multicam setup here where I've got a B-cam setup back there so you can kind of get the wide view of all 4 laptops. So I don't really know how well this is gonna work out, but we're gonna try it and see, and we're trying to up our production value here. So if it looks good, we're gonna keep on doing it. But anyway, let's dive into the laptops. Here we have 4 laptops, all 15.6-inch screens, 3 of which have 8 gigs of RAM and a 256 gig solid state drive. And then you have this HP, which has a Celeron processor, 4 gigs of RAM, and a 128 gigabyte solid state drive. These 2 have Ryzen processors in it. This one has the Intel i3 10th generation. And today, what we want to find out is which one of these 15.6 budget value computers is the best one to get, and then which one of these 4 computers is the worst one in the world. I want to talk about benchmarks here for a very brief moment. Normally, it used to be that I didn't care for doing benchmarks on computers, but now I do them and I kind of feel like they've got a bit of a point to a degree. But we're going to dive into the benchmarks on 3 of these machines. We're going to skip the benchmark on this HP, however, because I kind of feel like there's really no need to do a benchmark on this. It's going to get dominated by these other ones, but there's a reason why I still have this thing sitting here. Now, I did a video on the Gateway 11.6-inch convertible laptop, and it turns out that Gateway is now being produced by a company. It's owned by Acer, but they're being granted licensing rights to Walmart and a company called like EVU. Basically, Walmart wanted these cheap series of laptops being made, and then a company out in China is now producing what is effectively the world's cheapest laptops that you can buy, and they truly are cheap. But they're not necessarily all that awful. But it's no surprise that on this channel, I love the Acer Aspire. I feel like it is one of the best computers that you can get for your buck. It not only comes with solid state storage, obviously, but it has an extra SATA slot on the inside for you to upgrade the storage if you wanted to. On top of that, it has features like fingerprint scanner and some other nifty things. And they're pretty fast and powerful. They're reliable. We've sold a ton of them and have never had a single one come back for any issues. The Gateway, on the other hand, is, well, it's a $350 laptop. And you don't really get a whole lot of features with it. You do get a fingerprint scanner on there, which is a little bit curious. And I kind of feel like a lot of these manufacturers are trying to drive the fingerprint scanner thing these days because of Windows 11 and all the biometric stuff that they're gonna have. But you do get a fingerprint scanner. You get the world's worst speakers in the world that I already said. This is the world. I've never heard speakers so goddamn bad on this thing. It says tuned by THX on this laptop, and they are absolutely abysmal. They might as well have not put any speakers in at all. They're also super quiet. But then you have this 15-inch HP laptop, which surprisingly I don't hate. And I've got another little review on this thing, but the screen is actually outstanding. Comes with a webcam on it and everything, and it's only like 250 bucks. So though it doesn't have any crazy features like a backlit keyboard or anything like that, I can understand why somebody might want to plop down if they needed like a 15-inch beater computer. $250 isn't bad. And frankly, the display on this thing is better even, I think, than this Gateway. And then you have what is now the most disappointing laptop of the group. This Lenovo IdeaPad 3 not only came broken from factory, there's some graphical issues going on in the bottom right side of the screen, so it's got to go back either way. And of course, you never like it when you get something new and it doesn't work. It is the most powerful. The i3 does beat the Ryzen processors, and I'll get into that in a little bit in just a moment. But it doesn't have a fingerprint scanner. The I/O on it kind of stinks. The webcam is no better than any of the other ones, and the plastic is probably the worst out of all of them. Even the Gateway, which is a little bit shocking considering the price bracket that that's in, and even considering this HP, considering the price brackets that it is in. I just really don't like this IdeaPad at all. I don't recommend it. I think even between $350 and $400, it's just not good value. So out of these computers, which one is the best value? And I think, gun to my head, I'm still going to say the Acer. See, the thing is that this Acer has a USB port for your mouse on this side, and Kensington lock because everyone uses that. It's got 2 USB super speeds, USB-C, HDMI, Ethernet, and of course we plug it in because it doesn't run on solar energy. You're gonna be hearing that a lot in this video. this gateway has USB-C on it as well. USB Super Speed port, full-size HDMI where you plug it in because it doesn't run on solar energy. What? Okay. And then you've got, of course, USB Super Speed on that side. A little bit weird that they put USB Super Speed on the opposing side. They could have probably kept that as regular USB. And then even this cheap, crappy HP has USB-C. But the IdeaPad doesn't. There's no USB-C to speak of. The thing is that this laptop is basically $400 unless you can find it on sale. Whereas this Acer is $500 unless, but you can also find them on sale sometimes. But you just get so much more bang for your buck. There's just more features, there's better quality, it's a nicer machine. So if you can spring for the extra $100, I'd say go with the Acer Aspire. And frankly, if you need something cheap and you can't afford it, like I'd say then you're probably even better off going with the Gateway. At least you've got USB-C on there where you can add some extra storage. And the Gateway comes in a variety of different colors. You've got green and white and black and red and all that crazy stuff. But no, the IdeaPad is just it's kind of lackluster and just doesn't have the feature set that I want. Now, as far as benchmarks are concerned, this IdeaPad, and we're using user benchmark here because we kind of wanted to we just wanted to make it sort of even as we could. Gaming, you get tree trunk, which I think is pretty damn funny. Gaming on the Ryzen 3 processors are also tree trunk status. In other words, I wouldn't game on any of these things. They'll all be able to play Minecraft with no problem, I think, whatsoever, but you're just not going to be able to play things like Grand Theft Auto or really much anything else. But then it comes down to the desktop computing power. This one gets a 38% with the Ryzen 3. This one gets a 37% with a Ryzen 5. The Ryzen 3 and the Ryzen 5s, by the way, in these particular machines are not only, they're about the most identical, they're basically identical. They're clocked at the same speed. They've got more or less identical specs. There's some weird manufacturing nonsense going on there where they've given them 2 different designation numbers. Also, there's sort of a generational gap, but the point, why does this thing keep going off? But the point is that they are basically the same processor. And then you've got the IdeaPad. Now, the thing is that this came in as Destroyer, which I think is also a pretty cool thing. I like the way User Benchmark says that. What it implies is that this machine is going to be superior, so to speak, for doing things like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Chrome. You get the idea, having multiple Firefox tabs open. But I don't think that you're ever going to have an instance where these two computers, practically speaking, aren't going to be able to keep up. See, the thing is that even though they only got a 37% versus 64%, the Ryzen processors are fine. They do the job, they do what you need them to do. They don't need to be more powerful than that. You're not buying these computers for gaming rigs. You know, you're buying these machines because you need a 15.6-inch machine that does the basics, that allows you to do your everyday tasks, your day-to-day, Excel, PowerPoint, schoolwork. If you're a nonprofit, you get the idea. So I don't see a single redeeming factor in why somebody would want to get the Lenovo IdeaPad 3. So even though it's a little bit faster technically in the benchmarks, it doesn't have any of the features like a backlit keyboard. The webcam is, well, it kind of stinks. But the trackpad also isn't as big as it is on the other ones. It just doesn't cooperate either. You have bigger trackpads on the Gateway and then the Acer. And now the Gateway's trackpad does kind of stink. It's not that good. It ghosts and it just is not that great of a trackpad. It's like a trackpad from like 10 years ago that they found in a parts bin. Whereas, of course, the Acer Aspire's trackpad is fantastic, does everything you need to do. They're all multi-gesture trackpads. That's kind of becoming a standard, so I'm going to probably stop touting that as a thing, but basically it means that you can take 4 fingers and kind of slide up and down and do your thing on them. But anyway, yeah, I can't find a single redeeming factor with this IdeaPad 3 that I would recommend it to anybody. It came broken, it doesn't have a full high-definition screen, and that's the thing is, there is no excuse for any 15.6-inch computer to not have an FHD screen. All 3 of those computers, even in the price brackets they're in, this computer's $250, has a full high-definition screen. Lenovo could have put one in there. They just chose not to. They got cheap. And for what reason? Now you might be asking why I even bother having this HP here in the first place, and the reason is simply this. In the world of budget computers, trying to make sure that you get something that's cheap but will sort of last and do an okay job, you want to make sure that you find something that you can, well, basically the A, that you can afford, but B, that's going to do what you need it to do. Not everybody is going to be able to afford the $500 Acer, and I get that. So that leaves you with either the $350 Gateway, which still has more features than this IdeaPad 3, but if you're really on a budget, then you have this HP. And I can't believe that I'm recommending an HP even as cheap as it is, but the fact is that you have for 250 bucks, frankly, a lot of value. That USB-C port's gonna be awesome if you wanna have like storage and stuff like that, if you're using it maybe like for like a little video server. And the screen on this computer is fantastic. You know, it's pretty color accurate. They just did a really nice job calibrating it. Now the rest of the computer is a $250 computer. You know, you're getting what you're paying for, but by all accounts, it's just not too bad. So of these 4 computers, if you are in the market for a budget 15.6-inch machine, this little brief overview, if you can have one takeaway, the Ryzen processors are not as fast as the i3 processors, but practically speaking, you'll never know the difference. So if you need 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of solid state storage, well, go with the ACER first, and if you absolutely can't, then go with the Gateway. But if you're just absolutely on a budget and you need something super, super cheap just to get the job done, well, you'll frankly do okay with the HP as well. I'd say skip the Lenovo IdeaPad 3. The Lenovo Yogas are great computers and Lenovo makes a fine machine, but this is not one of them. I'm not sure if I'm ready to call this the worst computer in the world yet, but so far, it's not looking good. Anyway, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back with another video comparing laptops real soon.